Hello, this systematic review is part of a larger study funded by the NHIR for my clinical doctoral research fellowship. So I'd like to share with you some of the findings. There were two themes, one psychological impacts and number two social impacts, and each theme had three sub-themes. So theme 1, psychological impact. This includes experience of loss, fear and panic, embarrassment, shame and humiliation. Eating and drinking experiences after stroke were perceived as no longer pleasurable. The loss of joy and pleasure from consuming food and drink was associated with a discomfort in the mouth and throat resulting from swallowing difficulties, and changes in sensory functions led to altered taste and smell. Several studies discuss the debilitating experience of fear associated with eating and drinking difficulties. Stroke survivors were fearful of aspirating on food and fluids, resulting from life-threatening pneumonias. Fear was also related to choking, excessive coughing, and the ultimate fear of suffocation leading to death. Feelings of embarrassment and humiliation were associated with not being able to independently feed oneself and needing to rely on others for help. Social embarrassment related to a change in eating appearances, such as disfigured facial muscles, leading to food leakage, coughing attacks, and concerns about what other people were thinking about changes in habits or performance of eating and drinking. So in summary, the psychological impact of eating and drinking difficulties was recognised in 21 papers. Stroke survivors were afraid of the consequences of swallowing difficulties and experienced fear and panic. And following these changes, stroke survivors experienced humiliation, frustration and loss of dignity, and they described a desire to isolate themselves or avoid social eating conversations and occasions. Stroke survivors discussed the impact of social isolation, and this came under the theme social impacts, where we had social isolation, striving for social dining and getting back to normality. Stroke survivors discussed their reasons for wanting to be alone, and this included consuming food and drink on their own because of anxiety, humiliation and reduced trust in their own abilities to manage eating and drinking. Eating was viewed as a task that they would very much manage alone, and thus isolation was self-imposed. The importance of social activities related to eating and drinking was discussed, such as dining with friends and celebratory events. Social dining was associated with pleasure and enjoyment and held meaning for individuals, but there was a loss of social dining as this was viewed detrimental to the person's well-being and avoidance of gatherings where they would need to eat and drink. There was very much a desire to get back to normal, and this was a reoccurring theme. This striving to find normality was very important with eating and drinking difficulties, and stroke survivors talked about wanting to regain or relearn eating and drinking so that they could participate and deal with the loss and the dependency they were experiencing. So in summary, social impacts of eating and drinking difficulties were discussed in the context of social isolation, which was either self-imposed or resulting from emotional impacts of eating and drinking difficulties. Please take a look at the other uploads for further information. Thank you.